I think everybody sitting at home wants the answer to the same question. Did you murder your wife?
No, I did not. And I had absolutely nothing to do with her disappearance. And use the word murder, and yeah, I mean, that is a possibility. It's not one we're ready to accept, and it creeps in my mind late at night and early in the morning. And during the day, all we can think about is the right resolution is to find her well.
Okay, Chase, what do you got?
I think before I get into it, the most important thing that came out of this case was called the Lacey and Connor Law, or Unborn Victims of Violence Act, that charges a criminal with injuring an unborn child in acts of violence. And I think throughout the video, what you're going to see is some very slow eye blink speed, which I refer to as shutter speed, not how often, but how fast the lid closes and opens. I think there's some Valium or some Xanax going on here for sure, which is like a Dollar General trial consultant was probably hired for something like this. And so I watched this video differently than I've ever watched any before, partly because I was in the car. So I listened to audio first. So I just processed the audio first separately from everything and separated audio and visual here. So that's how I'll give it to you. So on the audio section, we have fading facts. Scott's famous for coining this, I think, where he's like, no, there's a non-contracted denial, which just means instead of I didn't or don't, it's I did not or do not, like I did not have sexual relations with that woman, is a non-contracted denial. And he had nothing to do with her disappearance. And you see his head move forward, eyebrows up. When he says disappearance, he's just kind of forcing you to accept the disappearance part of this. And I think when he says murder is a possibility, I think he's being truthful, because that is a possibility. And he is actually thinking about it. He won't mention her name. This is something that's very common in guilty people. I'm failing to mention the victim's name. And he says the right resolutions to find her. Resolution is not at all what's needed if someone's missing. A resolution is meaningless and doesn't really do anything here. For visual, there's an immediate retreat to internal dialogue. You'll see his eyes go down in this direction immediately. And you'll see that's his habitual deceptive behavior for him. It's different from his normal place that he goes. There's a postural tilt. There's eye blocking on his denial. And there's a lack of pronouns. I won't tackle the rest of these, but I think it's interesting when he says absolutely nothing to do with it. You see a little single shoulder shrug goes up, which means, suggests or denotes, as Scott would say, that the person sometimes, most of the time, will lack confidence in what they're saying. And Scott, I'll pass it up to you.
I still suggest denotes, indicates from Joe Navarro. Okay. He says that all the time. So it just jumps out from that. So in a lot of ways, this is very similar in the beginning anyway to Chris Watts, the guy we did last time. And I could almost take my very first notes on that one and exchange them for this one, because we're seeing a lot of the very same things in this one that we saw there. One of the things that we saw in Chris Watts as well as here is that really, really strong eye contact he has with her. And that's why Greg and I, in our thing, the True Crime Workshop course, we teach a thing called STRIP. And there's a thing in there called Romancer. There's Stancer, Trancer, Romancer, Insulator, and then Prancer. So, but this is Romancer. And the Romancer is the person who looks at you. They're like, really? Yeah, they're really helpful. And they just like stare at you. But this guy's doing two things with his Romancer. Because when they look at you like that, they want to make sure that you feel okay with them being that close to you and watching every move you make. Because what they're doing at this point is making sure you believe them. And we talk about that all the time as well, where his blink rate's really low because he's just firing off a bunch of bull and hoping she'll believe it. So that's why that's why his eyes are locked on it like that. His eyebrows are up as in what, hey, you believe that? You believe that, don't you? Yeah, right. Right. Am I right? That kind of thing. And then again, yeah, Chase is right. It's fading facts. Everything. And I've never heard anybody talk this quietly when they're being asked about if they murdered somebody. You don't go, no, I would never do anything like that. You go, no, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. I don't know what you're talking about. Get me out of here. Where's my life? You're going to be flipping out at that point. And there's not going to be any calm in here. So I think, Chase, you're right as well. There's probably something helping calm him down in this, but that's still, it's not helping his case because it makes it look unnatural and it sounds unnatural. And during that, and when he says possibility, that's when we're seeing that head nod and that little shrug in there. And again, I believe this is the one where we hear absolutely, if I remember correctly. He says absolutely in here as well. And for such an emotional, what's supposed to be an emotionally taxing interaction here, talking about your wife, you don't know where she is yet. Is she dead or not? He didn't look too worried to me about it. I've never seen anybody smile that big. O.J. Simpson does a good job of it on one of his things, but I've never seen somebody smile that big and answering the same question where 10 seconds ago was, did you kill your wife? Did you murder your wife? And then have a smile come up in there that big. A creepy factor, 10 on this one. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, so I'd never come across this guy, Scott Peterson, before. Every time I say I haven't seen these people, panelists go, where have you been? I've been all over the place, but mainly not watching television, I think, or certainly not watching the same television that you've been watching. Not that that's a problem. Keep on watching that TV. It's fantastic. But, I've lived in different places, not necessarily ever in the US for any length of time. And so just haven't seen what you've been seeing. So I approach this very, very fresh, not done any baseline. All I'm doing is going, what do I see in this moment when we've got somebody who's asked a question about, did you murder your wife? I see a lot of eye blocks, too many to count, in fact. So I stopped. So lots of eye blocking, lots of requests for approval around this as well, even before kind of the questions asked. So he knows what's coming and he's kind of going, okay, bring this one on. We'll see that gesture later on as well. Absolutely fading facts. It's not, it's just not ... doesn't really finish that. It just peters out. I agree. Could be some drugs involved there. It is quite lethargic. However, it's about as energized as he gets in this, because we'll see even the energy decline over this even more. It could be other factors involved. Could be the drugs kicking in even more if that's the case. That smile, it's not usual for this kind of situation, I would say. Now, again, is this a smile around, drugs? Is this a smile around something else? Not quite knowing how to match what performance to give, what emotions should be there to match this situation. The biggest piece for me in this is we are ready to accept, and all we can think about. Like who else is involved in? We're talking about you. We're talking about, did you kill her? We don't need to bring in other people. Well, you probably do if you want to now get a bit of social acceptance. You want to say, hey, it's not just me. There's a whole bunch of us. There's a whole bunch of us. There's a whole bunch of us. They can't think I did it because I'm part of a group. So it's that bringing in the kind of gang identity. Now, you might have some better ideas, as to what you think he's saying by we. You've probably seen stuff that I haven't seen. That's great. So if you've got other ideas as to why he's saying we, stick them down in below. But for me, it's kind of odd that he's bringing other people into this. Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, so Mark, we're going to start off with where you ended. We is blame sharing. When somebody does something and they shift pronouns, and you talk about it all the time, Chase, with team pronouns. I call it blame sharing. I hear it all the time in corporate America. I accomplished, we fell short. That's blame sharing. That's how it works. That's how people use that pronoun. I've seen one other person smile this way under high duress, and it was part of his baseline. This is many, many years ago when I was a SEER instructor, and there was a Navy SEAL who came through who had a smile like that, and no matter how hard you were on this guy, the smile would get worse. It was a baseline for that guy. This guy's going to prove to us in just a minute it's not his baseline. And so that nervous, I called the guy Smiling Boy back then, I remember, and I told him, if you ever get captured, try your best not to do that because it's going to be rough for you. And that's because nobody believes you when you do that. This is not this guy's baseline, I think we're going to find. So we'll look and see what is his baseline. He starts off with what I would call a lip grip, or we would call lip compression. You can see it. That's containing something. Chase says that's containing more facts, more data. Most often I find it to be emotion, which is facts or data. So you see it all the time. When you see men who have been caught in a sex scandal, almost all of them do this. You see it all the time. Go back and look for pictures of many of them.
Anthony Weiner.
Oh, yeah. Well, I could list many. There's actually a great meme that shows all these guys doing that, and then a picture of a dog who does it, and it says, I think my dog has been involved in a sex scandal. So it's funny. It's just the way men do it all the time. The eye blocking is pronounced. And Chase, that down left, he's navigating. To me, if I give you a math equation, I'll play this game with you a little bit. Forget the math equation. Try to think through what you would tell us if you were captured while you're looking at us right now. If you were captured and you were accused of a crime and you were trying to lie about it, think about how you would go about that lie. Just the mere fact of thinking about it is going to take you into internal conversation, which is down here. This guy has practiced, and he's smarter than everybody around him, I think he thinks. I've read where people said he was charming. It's probably that. It's all that eye contact and all that. Just remember, he's talking to Diane Sawyer. This is not the woman who works at the gelato place that he can charm. So he's probably, and we're going to see that she's on to him as this thing goes through. He used the word murder, and then his smile gets bigger, which tells me it's nervous energy as he's releasing. Watch his control release style as he tries to tell this story through the whole thing. And then he goes, yeah. And he talks about we, and then he flips through and says, the last one is not just a fading fact, it's a throwaway fact. Because he didn't think of the order to say things. And he says, late at night, early in the morning, during the day. And then he goes into that, to find her. And then he throws away a word, well. What? Oh, to find her, well. That's a throwaway. To me, I would be all over him. There are 5 or 6 places I would climb all over him here, because we talk about baseline and we talk about, it's like an EKG, and then suddenly there's a spike. He's got about 4 or 5 spikes here that I would look at and go after him pretty hard. And that's what I got.
Cool.
I think everybody sitting at home wants the answer to the same question. Did you murder your wife?
No, I did not. And I had absolutely nothing to do with her disappearance. And use the word murder, and yeah, I mean, that is a possibility. It's not one we're ready to accept, and it creeps in my mind late at night and early in the morning. And during the day, all we can think about is the right resolution is to find her well.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.
Okay.